I know an Armenian dude personally, and they love him. And that's what you got to do when you get into UFC. You got to learn how to get a nation. You got to get these groups of peoples behind you. And he did that, just like Paddy with the UK. It's necessary, just like the New Zealand fighters and all the gay dudes. Ilia Topuria is trying to convince the whole world that he is a Spaniard. And it's not that simple, Ilia. You cannot just download the Babbel app, not a sponsor. Learn the language, get the P.O. box, and that's it. He's trying to convince everybody that he's the live action Puss in Boots. Hey, Ilia, what if I decide tomorrow that I want to move to the UK? Can I go over there and just simply learn how to speak in a very obnoxious manner, and all of a sudden that makes me British? It's not that simple. But that's what he's trying to get away with. And I know that everybody was coming after me yesterday because of the video that I made. And they're saying, hey, why do you keep talking about how Arman Tsarukyan is Georgian? He's Armenian. And someone went so far to say, you can't even spell Armenian without Arman. And I understand that that is correct if you spell Armenian incorrectly. But I get what you're saying. So let me try to make this part as brief as possible because I want to move on to the Tsarukyan interview. But I have to address this Armenian thing. Now, look, I'm an Arman fan, and I have been experiencing a little bit of Arman Tsarukyan fatigue lately because I don't really like the way that he's treating his family and his lady and stuff back home. I think he's kind of going a little bit like down the Brian Ortega path. You know, they say never go full Brian Ortega, you know, and I don't like that. I don't support that. But man, he's a charismatic dude. And I want to talk about how everybody was saying that they thought I was incorrect. So let me just give you the specifics right here. First of all, that wasn't the narrative of the video yesterday. I was talking about Ilia and the whole Georgian thing. So of course that was going to be the focal point. But let's break it down. So Ilia is ethnically Georgian. He was born in Germany. He moved to Spain, and he procreates in Miami. Now we got Arman. He's ethnically Armenian. He was born in Georgia. He moved to Russia, and he makes his money in the U.S. He's a funny guy. I saw him on an interview the other day. He said, I'm this, but I was born here, and then I moved there, but I make my money in the U.S., brother. It was funny. So you got both of these dudes that are kind of trying to cling to multiple things. So like Arman, he came into the UFC and he's on an interview. You can find it. He was saying there was no Armenian fighters. I wanted to be the Armenian face of I wanted to represent the country. There was nobody there. And there was like 2 or 3 at the time. I don't know if he knew that or not. But he was like, I want to be the UFC fighter. I want to corner that market. I want to represent those people. And I get it. I know an Armenian dude personally, and they love him. And that's what you got to do when you get into UFC. You got to learn how to get a nation. You got to get these groups of peoples behind you. And he did that, just like Paddy with the UK. It's necessary, just like the New Zealand fighters and all the gay dudes. That's exactly what you got to do. You got to build that fan base. You got to get those people to root for you, to get the t-shirt. And that's what he did. And so you got these two dudes that are both trying to run towards certain things and away from certain things. Ilia doesn't want to know anybody to know that he's German. He doesn't want them. I mean, all it takes, Ilia, is one little Q-tip, one little swab when they do the 57 and me to be like, bro, you're not from España. What are you? And then he's going to have to, he needs that Georgian to fall back on. He don't want to have to fall back on the German. He can't provide the birth certificate. And Arman's like, hey, brother, I was actually born in Georgia. You want to buy? It's like Esau and Jacob. He's like, hey, bro, you want to buy mine? The birth certificate, you want to buy mine? I'm actually born in Georgia. What's Ilia going to do otherwise? He wants to separate himself as far as possible from them Germanic roots. He don't want to walk out with his next fight with the German flag on his back. That muscle memory is gonna kick in. He's gonna be marching toward the cage, kicking his legs out all straight in front of him, not even bending at the knees. That's not gonna be a good look for him. So here's the whole thing about German, Armenian, whatever. Ilia wants so bad to be Spanish, but he's not, and it's provable. So he needs to fall back on something, and it can't be German. So he wants to fall back on Georgian, and it must eat him alive. It must drive him crazy to know that Arman really was born on that Georgian soil. So that's what I was focusing on in that video. Hey, you want to be the Georgian dude? But hey, you can, dude. Maybe it's in your blood. I don't know, dude. You're gonna have to have him test the blood. You're gonna have to You're going to have to create a wound or something, bro. But this dude got the birth certificate. This dude don't even have to bleed for it. This dude could just present the document. And that has to drive Ilia crazy. So I was focusing on how Arman was born on that Georgian soil. Even though, yes, he's got that Armenian blood and he likes to corner that part of the market. I get it. So that's all there is. And I think I could speak on this, because look at me. Look at me. I'm ethnically Mexican, but I was born on the U.S. soil, and I'm over here like, everybody, look, I'm trying so hard out here. I'm overcompensating. I'm Mexican. Please believe me. Believe all Mexican Americans. # believe all Mexican Americans. And sometimes I feel like that one scene from the movie Selena, where the dad's saying, man, nobody knows how hard it is to be a Mexican. And by the way, if you're watching, I'm not choking somebody. This was him. This is the steering wheel. He was in the van. And he's like, nobody knows how hard it is to be a Mexican American. You got to be more Mexican than the Mexicans and more American than the Americans, because this side don't accept you because they don't think you're this enough, and the other side don't accept you because of that. And it's like, I get it, man. You got to be everything to everybody. It's like you're a man without a country. And it's hard. So I feel like I got my E-card. I feel like I could speak on it. I know what the struggle is like. You're trying to run towards certain things, away from other things. You're just trying to please everybody. And Arman told Ariel, I think he's jealous. And look, I don't know if he was just trying to be a gentleman. I don't know if he doesn't even realize and he couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he didn't talk about ethnicities. He didn't talk about nationalities or anything like that. Arman just said, I think he's jealous. And I do too. It kind of reminds me of when DC was always jealous of John Jones. And I'm a DC fan. But it was kind of messed up back in the day when Jones was doing all his shenanigans. He was messing up. He was cheating. He was doing all these drugs, not respecting the sport, not respecting his opponents, not respecting the fans. He's beating up on people he shouldn't have been. And then everybody's still cheering for him and going crazy. And DC's like, I'm the good guy. I'm the good guy. Why are they booing me? And I feel like Ilia must feel that way in a sense toward Arman. I feel like Arman ended up being everything that Ilia wanted to be. Like I was saying yesterday, Arman somehow became the face of the UFC without even doing UFC things. Arman became the face of the UFC while doing RAF things. It's crazy, and that has to drive Ilia crazy. And the only thing that he could come at him with is, he's dumb. He's a dumb guy. He's immature. He's like a kid. But give me something. Give me some tangibles. Nothing. And of course, Ariel would impress him. And Arman was like, hey, Ariel, why didn't you press him? What's he basing this off of? He's like, where I come from, if someone says something, they got something to back it up. Like, what's he even talking about? He's just going to say names and then move on. And it's kind of like when I'm talking with my lady, when I'm having some heated words with Marilena. And she's like, you're this and you're that. And I'm like, oh, could you please provide some evidence? And I'm just saying it. Look, I'm not being contentious. I'm just like, hey, if we're going to be together, maybe these are some things I could work on. Fine. Let me know tell me the things. Give me some A, B, and C's, and I'll go to work on them. And then we'll reconvene at a later time. And so she's like, you're this and you're that. And I'm like, oh, can you give me some examples, please? When was the last time I did anything along the lines of what you're accusing me of? When was that? And then she's like, you want me to write it down? What do you think I have a notepad where I log all of the journal entries? You want me to write down when you have? And I'm like, hey, trust me. Trust me. If I got some things that I got to share with you, if I got some things I got to get off my beanie, I'm going to come at you as if from an ancient civilization that has not yet been blessed with the gift of writing. I'm going to come at you with some oral traditions passed down through centuries. I'm going to go off the dome. I don't need no paper. I don't need no pencil. I don't got to write anything down. If I have, A, B, and C that I'm accusing you of, and you ask me, can I have some examples? I'm going to say, have a seat. Hold up. Call into work. Have a seat. Take your shoes off. And I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded. I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. I'm ready. What do you mean? Do you want me to write it down? I don't know. Oh, but you're gonna say this and that. But how come? It's like when I ask my kids, do you like that food? Or do you like that movie? No, how come? I don't know. What? You can't ask me a single thing if I like or don't like it. If I say I like something or don't like something, you ask me why, I will always be able to give you a reason. If not, you're living through life like an NPC. You're on cruise control. It doesn't make any sense. And that is exactly what Ilia was presenting. I don't like him. How come? He is stupid. He's dumb. How come? What? That's a low level of intelligence right there. And to further express the jealousy, Arman was bringing up, his little streams. Tell him to go stream and do his wrestling. That sounds like when one of your best friends is upset with you because you started playing with someone else. Why don't you go play with that best friend? Why don't you go play over there? Why don't you go play that game instead of this? I'll just play by myself. That sounded immature. That sounded pathetic how he kept pointing that out. And again, everything that Ilia wishes that he was, Arman's going out there doing streams and becoming the most lovable dude in the MMA community, aside from myself. And Ilia is like, bro, I try to collab with Nauk and my marriage falls apart. I go on the Joe Rogan Experience and I become a meme. Remember when he was talking about books? Oh, Joe, I read so many books, all the books. I read all the books that they had to write more books for me to read because I read all of them. And then Joe's like, oh yeah, what kind of books? And then he's like, huh? All the books, all of the books, the hardbacks, the paperbacks, the wetbacks. Is that one? The wetbacks? Is that a type of book? ¿Cómo se dice? He looked like that one scene from the 40-Year-Old Virgin where Steve Carell was trying to convince the dudes that he's been with a woman, and he was like, they were asking what was it like, what did it feel like? And he was like, it was like a bag of sand, and the dudes were like, you never been with a woman, have you? That's exactly what it was like. Every time this dude tries, he embarrasses himself. And he thought he was going to be the next Conor McGregor. He thought he was going to be loud and exuberant and enthusiastic on the mic. And he was going to be like Josh Hockett on the mic. But he's like if Conor McGregor had to live his whole career within the confines of like a library. And everyone, shh. He ended up getting like, he kind of has like this weird reserved kind of like, I think there's a part of him, and I was talking about this last night on the stream, where I think there's a lot of Ilia that is very not self-aware, and I think that's why he comes across as so unlikable, because I think he does and says, and that stupid smirk he always has on his face, I think it's a turnoff. But I think there are ways in which, there's got to be ways in which he is a little bit self-aware, where he decided to roll it back and to stop trying to really be the promo guy and get loud because it doesn't suit him. So he's kind of restricted, but he does care very much about what people think about him. He's seen what happened when he went on the streams, when he does the collabs, when he tries to get loud on the mic, but he cares. And that has to mess with him mentally. Arman's out there making best friends with everybody and doing his thing and making everybody fall in love with him. And Ilia is just trying so hard to keep everybody from absolutely hating him. I ask people in my stream that like him, why do you like him? And it's always about fighting. It's definitely not for his personality. And it's to the point where this dude has to buy followers. He has bots following him. And there are channels who have highlighted this and they show his followers and it's like 0 followers, 1 follower. This account was open yesterday. It does not look good. This dude cares so much about his appearance and the aesthetics, and it has to eat away at him because he's watching Arman make the rounds. And he's becoming the guy. And Ilia has to buy friends. He's basically, he's paying for people to be his friend. And that could sound metaphorical or whatever, is literally happening on Instagram. And Arman knows that Ilia is afraid of him. That's why he told Ariel, he's going to move up. He's not going to be Gaethje and then fight me. He's going to move up. Because at least if he loses to Islam, he tried. It was like Israel Adesanya, dare to be great. He tried. Oh, well. But if he loses to Arman first, then he never even goes anywhere. He never even gets there. And Ilia keeps saying that Arman's an easy fight. Well, Ilia, if you have any kind of intelligence whatsoever, even if you, which I think you're lying, but even if deep down you don't think he's that good and you don't respect him, you have to know the public perception. You have to be aware, or maybe your manager has to let you know. You guys have to know how the public perceives him and how much of a victory that would be, how much of a notch on your belt that would be. So it's just a lie to try to downplay Arman's skills and talents. And then Ryan Garcia is a potential opponent for Arman Tsarukyan. Everybody was always talking about Ilia and what he's going to do to Arman. And Ilia has to sit there and watch Arman Tsarukyan calling out Ryan Garcia, a WBC welterweight champion. For those of you that don't know, I know everybody thinks of Ryan Garcia as like a 90-pound kid. He moved up to welterweight, which in boxing is 140 to 147 pounds. Ilia was fighting at 145. Now he's fighting at 155, which is not a stretch from 147. And Ilia's probably walking around at like 170 something, you know, at any given time. So if it's not like Ilia's a 205-pound dude. Arman Tsarukyan is willing and calling out and actively trying to box a professional expert, solely focuses on boxing type of individual. He's trying to fight the WBC welterweight boxing champion. Do you think he's afraid of Ilia's hands? You know what Ilia has? Same thing that Max Holloway has. MMA striking. I've talked about this a lot before. MMA striking is not the same as being an expert professional boxer. Take Max Holloway and Ilia and try to put them in a WBC boxing ring and try to see what happens. You have this dude that has been running from Arman for a year. A year. This dude went through a whole divorce. This dude divorced his wife to avoid Arman for a year. Arman says, I'll be ready in a week. I'll be ready in a week. Ariel asked him, a week. Compare a year Ilia's been running to a week that Arman said that he would do it. But the excuse is that the UFC, because of course they give him that privilege, because as we already talked about yesterday, the UFC said no more double champs, no more. You got to vacate. But apparently they told Ilia, it's okay, you can have them both. They love him. And they want him to go up and be triple champ because they need a star right now. And Chama's not going to do it. Chama's not going to go up there and do anything to cereal gain. Ironically, Chama looks like he's put on all that weight just by eating cereal. It's not looking good. And I know people are trying to spin it, but it's not going to work. And the only thing that Ilia felt that he really had was that slap on video. Somebody needs to run that through the Iwu body cam channel and really let people know what's going on in there. I can't believe he's still talking about that video. All it does is make him look bad. Haven't you ever been in a situation with someone, you're having a disagreement with them or some kind of whatever, you're like, oh man, I wish there was video of the, like, have you ever had a thing with someone and they said something and then you're like, hey, remember when you said that? And they're like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, oh dude, I wish I had a video of the last 10 minutes. And it's crazy. It's like, that's what that is for Ilia. He's like, I have the video. I actually have it. But it's like, have you watched it, bro? Have you actually watched the video? It doesn't look aggressive. It doesn't look dominated. If anything, it looks homoerotic. It looks slightly sensual. And speaking of, the biggest takeaway, strangely enough, the biggest takeaway from this interview with Tsarukyan and Ariel is the whole shaving butt cheeks thing. Which I think is hilarious. I love it. He's talking about how Ilia Topuria shaves his legs and his arms. And look, I don't want to alienate anybody in here for what you do in the privacy of your own, whatever. I'm not an individual that would ever shave my arms or legs. But, some people say that they do it for sports. It cuts friction. They might be a runner, they might be a swimmer, they might be a biker. I knew people all through school and stuff like that they would shave stuff and they'd be like, oh, it's because I'm a swimmer. It's because I do all this stuff. I have to go run in the marathon. So Ilia, he thinks it's going to help him in fighting. It's going to help him be more aerodynamic, whatever. He shaves his legs. He shaves his arms. And Arman Tsarukyan said, hey, the logical conclusion would tell us by default that dude's shaving his booty cheeks. He's shaving his butt cheeks. And Ariel starts laughing. I think it's because he knows it's true. Some people say, I could see the Topuria fanboys saying, well, look at the 3 knockouts they gave him in a row. And they start doing the homework. I don't know. Maybe Topuria didn't start shaving his butt cheeks until he had those last 3 knockouts. Because if I had to guess, I would say that dude definitely wasn't shaving his butt cheeks when he fought Josh Emmett. Or maybe he would have been able to put him away. But some people do some strange things, some strange sacrificial things for sports. I remember when I was in high school, I had these couple of homies. I went out to the car real quick to grab a controller. And then when I went back inside the pad, two of my homies were sitting on the couch and they were kissing, bro. I walked in and I saw these two homies kissing. And I was like, what are you doing? And they said, it's because it helps us swim faster. I just saw them a couple weeks ago on Facebook. They just adopted a little Filipino kid.